Happy Friday. It is another Mavens of Manufacturing Day. It's actually Good Friday, so happy Good Friday to anyone celebrating that. I appreciate anyone who is tuning in. If you have any questions or want to comment during this episode, please feel free to drop your comments in the comment section. Don't be shy. I don't like being the only one asking questions, but I'm really excited to have Flor here. She is from Argentina and she has been able to tune in from Argentina. So super excited about that. Hi, Flor. How are you doing?
Hi, Megan. I'm very happy. I'm very happy to be here. Very excited.
I'm I'm really happy to have you here because I first met you, I think, in person at the Robotics Summit and Expo like last year or the year before.
Yeah,
And I just thought it was really cool that you were walking around and your story is really inspiring. So can you just briefly give us an introduction to who you are and what are some of the things that you're doing within the robotics industry?
sure, yes. So I'm Florencia is my name. I go by Flor. I'm an electronics engineer from Argentina. I come from a small town which is called Ameguino. It's like in the heart of the country. And I've been always passionate about solving problems, maths, and all that is around that. My mother would said that my sister had toys and I would destroy the toys because I would open them to see how they worked. And I didn't remember that. So I'm an electronics engineer working here from Argentina, and I started working in software around 8 years ago, and specifically in robotics. So I've been working I would say, from Argentina to the world because I develop software and work in software with companies in the US and other countries.
Awesome. Well, how was your school journey then? Because I know here in the United States, some women have said, well, I fell into this industry by accident and they weren't really pitched any kind of opportunities within engineering. And it was really some of the women who had like a family member who was an engineer or in manufacturing. That's how they ended up pursuing it. But is it similar there in Argentina? Like, is this space something that's normally pitched to women out there in Argentina?
Yeah, it depends. Like there are cases where you have an engineer in your family and you go through that path. In other cases, I think it's a lot of visibility, a matter of visibility and opportunities. You know, as I said, I grew up in a farm town where like professions I knew were a teacher or a doctor or an accountant. And internet
Mhm.
at that time wasn't like you didn't have so much access to podcasts or to checking what others did. And so I liked mathematics and I said, okay, well, I need to be an accountant because I like maths. And I didn't know about engineering. My mother, she's a secretary. My father is a driver. They didn't go to university, so I didn't have like that engineering tradition in my family. But then I started talking to people, and my cousin, she went to study engineering to another city, and my brother-in-law, he's an engineer from a big city. And then I got to know that profession and that it was a chance for me. I
Mhm.
think it was a matter of like getting the options and also like getting the support for that option. You know, I live my hometown is far away from where I could study this, and I needed my family to support me economically to
Gosh.
become an engineer. So it depends. I think that now there are more schools and like industrial schools for girls too, and that they
Mhm.
can learn some things of engineering before getting into university.
Mhm. One of the interesting things that we talked about before too, during our pre-briefing was the types of engineers that you can become based off the region that you're in. So you mentioned something where you don't have a lot of access to the hardware components of things. Can you dive into a little of that and how that, reality sort of shapes what people pursue within the area that you live in?
Yeah, sure. So I'm an electronics engineer, and when I started my career, we're mostly focused in hardware development, building from scratch, developing your own products, right? And when I started applying for jobs and looking for jobs, I realized that the availability of those kind of jobs was limited. We have here in Argentina some large industry engineering companies that work on construction, on gas and oil.
Mhm.
And but then when I wanted to look, for example, for companies developing medical products, because I liked biomedical engineering, there weren't many. Um, and I realized that most of my colleagues at university would go for software. We and my career wasn't so focused in software. We had something, but then it was a matter of saying, okay, university gave me the tools now to learn. Now I need to learn something else. But it's like a new career after your career. And I realized that most of my colleagues were focusing in software, and mostly I've been checking it. We have high taxes that makes it complicated to get. I don't know. You need to build a product, and you need the different parts that we don't build here. They need to come from abroad. Taxes are high, and there's not a lot of incentive for industries to settle here in my country. So an option that we've been finding is, okay, what do you need for software development? You need a laptop, you need your brain, and that's it. Go for that. And we've been using it as a means for living also. And
Mhm. So you work with a company called Acumen,
yeah.
and how did your journey and lead you to that position that you're in now with Acumen? And you're also affiliated with Inorbit, is that correct?
Yeah. So when I started applying for jobs, I was looking for different options. And a colleague of mine told me, hey, why don't you come to Ecumen, the company he was working at? And I didn't know about it. And I looked for it and found like little information. And he told me he was working in robotics. And I was like, how come you can be working in robotics from Argentina where we have so few robots? And this company, it was like by word of mouth, people would learn about it. It didn't have much marketing. And I
Mhm.
started working there. We were 15. I was a software, the first experience or the second experience after being an intern as software engineer. And they were like, okay, you now need to work with Ubuntu, and this is the terminal, and you need to work on this. And I was so scared. And I think it's because of how flexible we become. I learned a career and then I need to learn something else. Then I was like,
Yeah.
if I need to shift, learning new things isn't that hard for me. And I started as a junior engineer, and then when I became, I think, a less shy and more like part of the company, we were 15 by back then. I started like showing different leadership skills that I had when I was a student in a small town. But then when I came to the big city, you are a number. You are not Florencia anymore. And then I like that turned off a bit for me. And then at work, that started to show up, and I had great mentors and people like giving me opportunities and saying, hey,
Mhm.
I want to give you this opportunity. And I was like, I'm afraid, but this is a challenge and I want to go for it. And so I started leading teams, and then I became a technical manager. And then I realized I like going to conferences and pitching what we do. So I started in sales. And this year I became a business director for the company. And we are around 100 now.
That's
So that was a
awesome. Well,
journey.
well, congratulations to all of your success. Can you just give us a brief overview of what Acumen does and like what sort of things you're doing within the robotics industry?
Yes. So Ecumen is a company that provides software development services. Let's say you are a robotics company developing your product and you need support in software. We provide engineers. We join our clients' teams, so we are part of it. It's like team augmentation. And we have expertise in ROS, in simulation, in testing, in different parts of robotics. And we've been part of the ROS community for the last 12 years or more. So the same way that Ecumen grew its team by word of mouth, it grew it with a client base. We have more than 20 clients in the US.
Mhm. That's awesome. Are you going to be at the robotics summit this year or Automate?
This year, I'm not, unfortunately. I was there last year. That was when you gave me your T-shirt that you
Yeah.
mentioned. And that was super fun because I saw you were going and I was following you on LinkedIn. And I told my colleague, oh, Megan is going. I'm going to write her to see if I can meet her. And I said, I'm not sure she will reply because she must be busy. And you were like, hey, Flor, of course, I would like to meet you. And for me, like for someone trying to grow in this community, like having leaders who are empathetic and who say, hey, yeah, let's talk. It's super cool. But no, this year I'm not going to participate. I may go to the Robo Business at the end of the year. Um,
I That's a good one. I heard that's a
yes,
good one too. I'll be posting
and
about that one, but I don't think I'm going to be
perfect.
attending it.
Oh,
uh, so, with all of the things that have been going on, like how has your journey been? Because you said that visibility is one thing that's kind of lacking within Argentina. So, what have you been doing personally to kind of bridge that gap so that younger generations can really see the opportunities within Argentina to be involved in this sort of industry? Because I feel like the lack of visibility increases the lack of awareness. But if you can start having those conversations and really showcase what you're doing, that gets people interested. And then you've had the opportunity to travel all over the place. And that was probably helpful as well, too. So, what are some of the things that you're doing on your personal side to really bridge that gap between awareness and visibility so that you can get more people interested in Argentina to join the robotics industry?
that's a really great question. Actually, when I was like started working in robotics, it was just me and another girl. And then for some other time it was just me. And I was like, what's the matter here? Are we not hiring women? Are they not applying? And then I said, okay, but when I was in university, I was one out of 100 or one out of 50. Um, and then I said, but it's not a matter of university, it's before. So then I started like going to my homeschool and say, hey, I want to give a talk. I want to share what I do. And then knocking doors in universities and say, hey, I want to share what I do, and also talking to other women and say, hey, share, like multiply, it's not just me. But because I think it's not a matter of myself, of showing what I do or saying, hey, how great I am. It's like every time I get this opportunity, even if I'm tired, I say there might be a young Flor listening to me and saying, hey, I can do this. I can do robotics. So I've been engaging with different communities here, women in engineering from IEEE here in Argentina. They do some interesting things in robotics and also teach kids. Um, Also, we have like tech groups, and with a very with a friend who's creating robotics, and also she's working a lot to make us visible. We have applied to create the first chapter of women in robotics here in Argentina. And the question was like, what was stopping us? It's like the egg and the chicken. It was like, how can I create a group if there are no women in robotics? But if there is no group, how can women know that they can get into robotics? So we said, okay, it's just the two of us and another girl we know. Let's the three of us start and see what we got.
So, how has that been going since you started that group?
So we have applied this week to create it, and our plan is
Oh,
to go to media, to like LinkedIn, Twitter, everywhere, X, sorry, and tell people, hey, we are looking for women. And I think it's not just women; it's a robotics community here in general. I would like to go beyond that because I believe there's people here in Argentina working in great stuff. The thing is that we may not know that the other is working on that, and there's a lack of like kind of community, and and that helps a lot.
why is it so important to you to really build up that awareness? Like, what are the benefits of letting more people know about the opportunities that exist within robotics for Argentina? Because I'm we've here in America, we have the American pride and the patriotic mission of like, we just need to come together as a nation. So I'm just curious to know, like, what are some of the things that really drive you to make it known to not just women, but younger generations of the opportunities in robotics and computer software? Like, why is that so important for you?
On one end, I think that robotics is the future. It's the present in many places. Here, maybe because we don't see it that often. It's we consider it's the future, and how come the future be shaped by few people? So we need to be part of it. Like even Argentina, we need to be part of that. It's going to be a worldwide thing. That's one thing. On the other end, I see so many people like saying, I don't have a future in my country and leaving. And some people can leave and they have the means to leave and go and live in another country. No, that's a lot of money you need. Other people can't. I want to show them that can still do it from your place, from your country. And that if we gather and we teach others and we show like we teach young kids, then they are going to teach the rest and it's going to start. We need to start at a point. And I think that's the importance. And also what I mentioned, right? Had just a few options for my career until someone showed me that, until a school teacher said, hey, go and ask 5 people about what they do and come and tell me about it because you need to check what you're going to do in your future. And if you don't have that people saying, hey, this career exists, then
Mhm.
it's like you just have a few options.
What do you tell young girls in your region who want to do what you're doing? Like, what are some of the things you talk about with them?
So actually, I was reading another article from Ersted a couple of weeks ago when she was like picturing the industry person of the week. And she used this phrase from Ayrton Senna. It was something of the sort of, if you have a dream, go for it, right? Um, and that's something I share is that I don't know if I'm going to be good. You don't like first stop. Don't tell yourself you're not good for it. Because I've heard it a lot. Like, I'm not good, I'm bad, I won't be good for this. Don't be your own like I don't know how to say it, like the person that puts you down. Like go for it and look for mentors, look for help. I think it's a like two roads have to come together. One is the person with a willing to do this needs to go after the dream. Like don't stop, like not let don't let nobody tell you that you're not good for this. Like go for it. And on the other end is like the people like me who are already in the industry need to help them because not everyone has the same opportunity and not
Mhm.
everyone has the same visibility. Some people need more mentors. Some people need opportunities to get into a job. Some people need like economic support. I think it's a two-way thing because you can tell someone go after your dream, but then it's going to be super hard if they don't get support.
Right. That's absolutely 100% true. I love Airsbet. I think she is an amazing human being in the industry, and she has the same passion that a lot of people have, and she's just got a curiosity for learning, and she just is a great connector too, and she's a lot of fun to hang out with. So I'm glad you mentioned her because she's really one of the people that I look up to in this industry because she's just so personable and passionate about what she does, and I really enjoy that. You mentioned that you are like the only engineer in your family. Is that correct?
Yes, until my cousin just became an industrial engineer sometime some a bit ago.
How how was that how was that when you were trying to pursue something in this industry? Like how did your background being raised on like a farm and, how did that help you be able to accomplish everything that you've accomplished to today?
Um, I think I've learned a lot. I think my family was a great support, and I think I had the greatest leaders in my family. My grandmother, my mother, my sister, my father. Um, Especially my mother and my grandmother. They, that kind of leader that wants to push you beyond where they are. say,
Yeah.
grow beyond me. And I think that helped me a lot. Because my grandmother didn't go to high school, my mother didn't go to university, and then both pushed me to get a degree. Of course, when I said I was going to be an engineer, it was like this, like, are you sure you're a woman? You want to be an engineer? But I think it was like more like a protective reaction. Um,
Mhm.
and but then I got all the support it needed, and you know, I think it's also like realizing that I was standing where I was because someone else opened that door for me. And when I see I have an opportunity, I try to take it. That was like I said, I'm coming from the farm, I'm getting support to be here, like I need to do this. And then it was like a matter of opening every opportunity I got to get me where I am.
I love that. I'm really hoping that you start the Women in Robotics group out there. I don't know if you're connected with Women in Manufacturing at all, but that would be another group to look into because they just started doing international chapters as well, and they have a lot of great resources for women in terms of like leadership development and other programs that help women be more successful in the positions that they're in. So I would recommend doing that. But um, robotics is moving fast. Like the technology that we are seeing today is just advancing. And a couple things that are going on is artificial intelligence and multitasking machines that involve automation. There's new positions like data scientists that are coming out. Of all the things that you're experiencing within your position, what are a couple of the trends that are your that get you excited the most or that you're looking to working with more in your position?
Okay, so artificial intelligence, I think it's great, and I've been seeing how experienced, let's say, software developers have been using it, and I think it's a great tool when you know what you're doing. It can make you faster and more efficient, and I don't know, from things of looking for information where I say, okay, how can I improve my writing skills in English? Okay, I'm using it and it's helping me. Or how can I make this code better? Okay, it's helping me. But you need to know in the back what you're doing, right? You need to know
Mhm.
like what you are applying. And related to that, everything that's related to medical development. At a point, I think that the medical part is one that moves slower because of all the requisites it has, all the like regulations it has, and it makes sense. But seeing robots that can be in an operating room, seeing robots that can help people talk, help people move, I think that's uh, what excites me the most because it's what got me here. I got into engineering because I had my grandmother who had a stroke and couldn't move and couldn't speak. And I was like, how come cell phones are getting smaller every day and TVs are getting larger because of technologies, but we can't use technology to help people that are struggling because they lost something they had. And and I said, we need to make a difference, but to make a difference, more people need to work on that so that it doesn't become like a benefit for just a few.
Mhm.
And when I see all the advancements in medicine, I think that's what excites me the most.
That's a really cool story. So thank you for sharing that. I have a cousin who lost his peripheral vision, and when they did some more investigation they found that he had a tumor, and they ended up removing the tumor, and then he had a bleed that they missed happening in his brain, so now he is paraplegic and he can't really communicate, and his goal is to be able to walk again. And I was talking to Joyce Sidopoulos from Mass Robotics, and she's going to connect me to a couple individuals with communications and also exoskeletons, to see if maybe there's a connection there for him so that he can walk again. And I just think it's amazing that we're getting to that point, even with like prosthetics being more movable and adaptable based on the connections within the person's body and anatomy. I think it's fascinating. Like it's just really cool. And AI can help too, I think, with the communication side of things. So yeah, I get super excited about that industry as well. And even aerospace, I think it's fascinating how far we're getting along with that. Are there any barriers that you are continuing to see within your region that might be preventing more people to like pursue opportunities in engineering and manufacturing? Like what else, what other challenges are you seeing that you're trying to like help overcome?
Um, you mean like people in general getting the to this
Yeah,
profession?
outside
Um,
of awareness and just representation, like is there anything particular?
yeah, like in this, it could be in this area, like the economic situation and all the fluctuations we have. That's an issue. Also, when as I mentioned, like Argentina still has universities located in big cities that you need to go and move to a big city. And then if your parents can't support you, you need to work for that. And that's an inconvenience. You may end up saying, okay, I choose for another career that I can do locally.
Mhm.
That's one thing that happens. The good thing is that we have public universities here. So, for example, I didn't pay a cent for my education. It was like, yeah, part of the taxes of the country, but I didn't have to pay anything additionally. And that supports a lot of people.
That's really awesome. Do you have any difficulties trying to complete a project because you are so far from those specific capitals or communities? Like, is it hard for you to get certain things done because you're so far away?
Not in software, I would say. If I were working in hardware, yes, because of the taxes and the delays and in customs and so on. Could be sometimes when you require more powerful laptop or so on, the limitations that you get, whether you will get it here or not, and the time it takes. Being far from the big cities, I guess, the biggest limitation I see is that you are not in touch with what you do, what you develop, right? You work on the robot, but you don't see the robot because the robot is in the tech capital. Or there are trainings or conferences which with great speakers, but it's very hard for us to get there or expensive to get there. Like things move in the tech capitals, but we also want to start doing it here because we want
Mhm.
people to go and train, to go and see. Um, and then, of course, when it comes to like you are working on the software and you get to the hardware point, that's your limitation. But I think that's something we overcome, at least at Ecumen, by working on the software, teamed with a hardware team, so that we are in connection all the time and we can work around that.
Very cool. Well, Fleur, is there one specific project that you've worked on that's like been your favorite, or is there any kind of case study that you can share with us with your time there at Acumen?
Yes. So I think that the first project that made me fall in love with robotics was my very first one because it was my first challenge and I had to work on this path planning navigation from one point to the other. And I was with more senior engineers who were like, if the robot goes there and the cost of going here. And I was like, that blew my mind. I was
Mhm.
like, how many? How many things they are thinking per minute that could go wrong. But then, as you mentioned, I work like one of my clients at Ecumen has been in Orbit, which is company, a partner of Ecumen. Um, and I think that what I liked most about it, first, that it was my first big robotics project, like one thing is one robot, another thing is thinking about a fleet of robots of different vendors of different types, what can go wrong. And so
Mhm.
there I learned about robotics, about ROS, about handling customers too, because you're working on the product and the customer has a request or they have an issue. And I really like customer support. I like finding the issue and solving the problem and working with them. And then we have like, okay, in orbit, at that point when we were working with, started working with robot developers, we were providing a product that gave visibility to robot developers when they launched the product to production and went out of the lab. And then also that let them act and let them be aware of this robot is not okay, the autonomy is not okay, right? Because at the lab, everything works. It's like it works on my machine. But then when
Mhm.
you are in production and you run out of Wi-Fi or you run into, I don't know, a box or you need to solve an issue, that's where we came in. And I've been working there for 7 years now, like supporting them in different ways, in different hats too, as a developer, as a lead, as a customer success representative.
So, when it comes to engineering, what do you think is the most underrated engineering skill?
Hmm. I would say attention to detail. It's one I learned a lot. Like I wouldn't be in university and knowing what attention to and attention to detail is a skill until I got
Mhm,
into my first job. And then I said, okay. And one of the requisites was attention to detail. And then I've been taught about it because when you code, you can make some mistakes when you are a junior, but if someone points out, hey, this is the way to fix it, and this is the solution, and this is why, the next time you would expect me to pay attention to that, and the next time as well. And
mhm.
I think attention to detail is key, and it's underrated.
Awesome. Well, Floor, I really appreciate your time that you've taken to come share your story on Mavens of Manufacturing. I think what you're doing is amazing. Is there anything else that you want to touch on or a question that I didn't ask that you were hoping that I asked?
Um, Maybe how can, if someone is watching me somewhere, not just in Argentina, because I've met people from Africa, for example, at Roscon that were doing great things in their community and wanted to connect worldwide, please reach out to me. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn, and I can share my personal email too. And maybe I don't have the answer, but I can help you connect with someone that may have that answer. I think it's a matter of that. As you mentioned, I got connected to you and then to Earthbed, and then that how the change starts. So please reach out, and I'll be happy to help.
So, before I let you go, for any young woman who might be watching, why is computer software engineering a great place for them to start a career? Like, what's your favorite thing about it?
Um, I think I like the problem solving multiplied by 1,000 that we get in, and it's like you think about something and you have like many other questions. So I think it's a place if you are curious and you like problem solving, it's a place for you. And if you want like to show how you can go one step another, computer software engineering is great.
Awesome. Well, Flora, thank you so much again for taking time out of your day to spend it here on Mavens of Manufacturing. I really enjoyed our conversation. To anyone tuning in, please be sure to connect with her on LinkedIn. I will be creating an article to follow up this conversation, so I'll include her contact information within that article. And if you're out in Argentina, be sure to connect with her. If there's any trade show that you're going to be at for, are you coming to Automate or no? Is
No, I'm
that when
not
they're
going this year, but I will
okay?
be most likely will be at Robo Business, and then I'll be at Roscon in Singapore.
Awesome. So if you're going to be at either of those shows, be sure to say hi to Flora and connect with her. And hopefully you guys can come together as a partnership. Speaking of robotics, there is a team that I mentor called Turtle Tech. They are looking to raise an additional $5,000 for their $10,000 goal to take part in a premier event. And they have to raise those funds by April 30th. So I will include that link in this conversation after I get off the recording with Flora. I'm saying if just all of my followers donated $1, they would surpass their goal. So I'm not asking for much, just $1, even 50 cents goes a long way. So be sure to do that. Floor, again, thank you so much. I hope everyone has a great Good Friday who tuned in, and I hope you all have a safe weekend. And I will see you again next week. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.
This episode of Mavens of Manufacturing has been sponsored by Z Inc. Solutions. Z Inc. Solutions. This isn't your grandmother's copywriting service. We provide copywriting and copy editing services that provide impactful text and memorable storytelling for a variety of brands and industries. Contact us today at zincSolutions.com. That's z-inksolutions.com.